Meetings. Good.
How are you?
Welcome to the folks on Zoom and happy Earth Day to everyone. Any new visitors today? All right. For our next meeting will be Tuesday, May 27th. The assigned subject is flora. Flora, flowers, or it can be plants. Submissions are due the Wednesday before, as always, May 21st. And our presenter will be Jim Neville, presenting on the mountain wildflower. And it reminds me, do you have any announcements about?
I do have a couple. Just remember, just a couple of reminders. June is our month. So we have at the Bruner House for 1 month in June. But we also have, starting June, July, and August, we have the Broomfield Community Center. So give it some thought, start making the pictures, get a chance to play with it a little bit. Then we also have that, it's my understanding, and you can help me with the details of this, the Broomfield contest for the open space contest. It was announced last week.
That's the calendar you're talking about?
Calendar, yes.
Yes.
So anyway, that's my last comment. Okay, there you go, that's good. Now we have precursors. So anyway, just remember, we'll send you out a notice. We'll put them up when I coordinate with the Art Guild, when we can put them up. It'll be a couple days, beginning of the month.
So we have a short presentation from Terra Lenihan. She's with the Broomfield Open Space Foundation, and she's going to give more detail about this calendar project. We agreed to collaborate with the Open Space Foundation. And Tim had
in case you're interested, May 3rd at Tom Cross Reservoir is the kids fishing derby. And if you enjoy photographing, if you like kids, you'll definitely be there. No, it's really a great event, and I mean, some of the images you can get from, I mean, when they capture the fish, and I mean, I've got one where, I mean, it looks like the kid's going into the water. He's like this, you know. It's a great opportunity if you enjoy photographing that kind of thing. So I think it's 7 o'clock.
I think so. Yep.
7 o'clock at Tom Cross, which is on the south, like Lowell and Midway.
Midway. Yep.
Yeah. May 3rd.
So Tara's going to give us a short presentation, and then Mike McGinnis has made an appearance, and he's going to present to us today, presenting at art fairs. So, any other announcements we need before we get started? Well, with that, let me introduce Terra Lenihan with Broomfield Open Space Foundation.
Somebody hit the lights for us, please.
Thank you so much for letting me be here today. And I am from the Broomfield Open Space Foundation. We have another member, our newest member of the foundation is here, Bill Duggan. And so he's also part of the foundation. And so the purpose of me being here tonight is to, just give you an overview of this Broomfield Nature Lovers Calendar and our partnership with you all. And also I want to invite you to not only the fishing derby, but our Nature Fest. We're having our second Nature Fest this August, and so I'll give you some details about that. So I'll be pretty quick too. I know you have a lot of cool things on the agenda, but our mission at the Open Space Foundation is to protect, enhance, and promote Broomfield's open spaces, trails, and wildlife so that people can enjoy diverse natural places today and in the future. And so I just put the photo on the left is one of Tim's that Tim works with us a lot on lots of our events and our photos that we use in our brochures. So that's a picture of Ellie's Pond. And then right here, the photo on the right is a picture of a bosan. I think they were doing a like pulling weeds that were non-native. So we have a group called BOSAN, which stands for Broomfield Open Space Action Network. and the Open Space Foundation supports them. And so that's just a little bit about what we do. Okay, so the calendar. So the idea behind our calendar is to create a fundraiser for us. We used to do an annual Brew Fest every year, and that was kind of our annual fundraiser. This will be an opportunity to raise a little bit of money, while also, building partnerships with you all and some other organizations, which I think is awesome. Building community, just getting the community involved. Of course, getting Broomfielders outside and with cameras. And then we're going to incorporate like tidbits of information about our trails and open spaces and wildlife so that, people gain an appreciation of what we have, because it's pretty special. So that's kind of the why. And this is just really briefly on how it will work. So for the first calendar will be 2026, and the idea is that it won't be open to everybody. It will be open to the photo club. So this will be a great way to kind of set a precedence of what we are trying to do here. And so, so there will be a panel that we will, find within your group here. We will also have a couple of foundation members, including Bill, who can join the panel. And then in future years, and we can get back to that if you have questions, but in future years, we'll open this up to everybody in Broomfield to submit their photos. And the winners, will get their recognition in the calendar, which I think people like, and they'll get a free calendar. The photo club, yeah, we're thinking that a panel of judges, maybe 3 from the photo club, 2 from the foundation might be a good way to start with an odd number. They'll have that great idea. And so, and those people will choose the photos. So a big question is, you all have beautiful photos, I'm sure, of our open spaces. So it will be okay for you all to submit photos, even if you are a judge on this panel. We'll just make sure that, you recuse yourself from that, vote. We'll have important dates, Broomfield Trails Day and Broomfield Days and things like that. And then I said this previously, but bits of information. And then I thought on the back somewhere we can have some information about the partnership with you all, your logo and website, and then information on how people can submit their entries for the next year. What do y'all think? Any questions or, and then we'll move on to the nature of this. Yes.
Just a question, it says open space, which is a very specific place.
Yes.
Did you mean it like Broomfield, is it broader than just?
Broomfield.
places?
So Broomfield Open Spaces, but we want to make sure that we're including places like Metzger Farms,
Okay.
which is, we have several of these joint areas. And so we definitely want to include, regionally. We also have, there's McKay Lake, which is like part Broomfield, part Westminster. So yeah, we definitely want to include those areas.
But just the open spaces that are listed on the website, on the Greenfield website.
Or wildlife, or, it can be wildlife that you see in Broomfield.
So what's your time frame of all this?
So that's a good question.
So we were just talking about that. We're thinking early August for a due date. We haven't set a hard date yet
Oh, okay.
because Terra needs time to put the calendar together. Well, we need time to judge the photos first, select the photos, put the calendar together, get it printed before 2026. So I just want to emphasize this. So this first calendar, the 2026 calendar, will be our photos, and we will set the standard for the goal for residents going forward in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it will be open to everyone, to photo club members in future years as well,
Yeah.
but
So, but
Yeah.
after this first calendar, it's gonna open up to all Broomfield residents, including photo club members.
yes.
What else was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, I think you mentioned that if you're one of the judges, you can still submit photos, but you have to recuse yourself from judging your own photo. So, I'm asking for volunteers for the 3-person judging panel. So talk to me.
And I volunteer Larry, I'm sitting next to Larry here. One of our guest presenters, and she's quite good at it.
And Bill?
Well, I'm a photo club member for a couple of years, but I've had some illness, but I'm back. But I'm a sort of a newer photographer, so I wouldn't be a good judge. But I'd be a good liaison between the foundation
Yeah.
and you guys. That's what we were thinking of.
Yeah, we're thinking of Bill as more representing the foundation.
Okay. That makes
And
sense.
then we have one other foundation member, Mike Artman, who also raised his hand, and he's a photographer, wildlife photographer. So we have 2 foundation members
And I do a lot of
and
it.
Yeah.
3.
Oh.
Do I say 3? Yeah, 3.
But don't forget to talk about submitting photos. You know, just
Yeah.
submit them like you normally do our monthly photos, but identify them as for this project.
Yeah, we will
And then
come up
we're
with,
not sure of the size. Have you decided on the size
I
yet?
have not come up with the technical specs yet. It's gonna be different than what you normally submit to the club because it's for printing, so it's gonna have to be higher resolution.
Yeah.
So I will come up with that before August. Bill?
Do you, the other Bill, do you, envision seasonal, images to go along with the?
Well, yeah, I do. I don't think they all, I'll kind of leave that up to you all too, but
Formally archive the winter photos, you know.
That's the other thing I was gonna mention is older library photos are welcome. They don't have to be new. They can be out of your archive. So, yeah, to fit the season for January, it's nice to have a winter photo, so,
Yeah.
yeah. Something I forgot to mention to you is last meeting, someone mentioned, could we have a different photo for the cover and the back cover?
oh, that's a great idea. That adds 2 more winners.
2 more winners.
At least 2, because you have the side cover and, yeah, the outside covers, yeah,
Outside front and back cover.
exactly.
So that's 26 photos.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the wave submissions per person. I thought of that. I want to leave that to you.
I haven't given that any thought. Any ideas?
You want to do
Use a little common sense. How's about that?
Would you like 2 per month or 2 per year?
Speak up, please.
Would you like 2 per month or 2 per year or season? And I wonder if the panel wants to kind of maybe
Yeah.
take this and think through it, you know?
Do you have thoughts, Bill, about this?
That's why I
For the
said
best
use
photos.
Yeah.
Do you have a place already that you're gonna use for printing?
I talked to Boss Printing, so they're the only ones I've actually talked to, and I, gave them specs that, I didn't bring the calendar example that I had, but they could print it for amazingly $5 each. And they don't require us to do these big bulk orders, which we won't be able to do, because we don't have a huge mailing list.
I've dealt with them before on photographing.
Oh, yeah.
They're really good.
They're very popular in Broomfield.
Have you thought, do you sell these at Broomfield days?
Well, we did think, talk about that, like that would be a fun way to, make this big splash, but I don't think it's gonna happen this year, at least. Maybe next year though. But our foundation decided not to do a booth this year, so, and no one raised their hand.
I think you have to, I own a business, and when it comes to, and we do calendars, I did one this year. And when you charge people for a calendar, and it's general, like landscape and some animals. they may do it, but if you come across and say it's a donation,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think you
this will
have
be
to
a
have a lot.
donation, yeah,
yeah, so you get a guy for a $5 calendar, maybe put $20 down,
right,
you know.
oh, yeah,
But if you say to somebody doesn't want to give you any money, he's not gonna pay $5
Right.
for a calendar. either,
Yeah.
Because there's so many out there.
that's a good point.
Well,
Yeah, it will be a donation because we
Yeah.
can't sell, so, yeah, it'll be a suggested donation.
But let us get back to you on the number of photos allowed to submit.
Yeah, because I
Let's
think
give
the
that-
panel needs
Yeah,
some,
Some of the
probably
panels-
some boundaries.
Yeah. But it seems to me, two seems too small of a number for photography. But I don't know what would be the limit. Well,
I think somewhere around 5 or 6 per person.
Yeah.
You know, then you'll get, who knows how many.
yeah,
And I think you might also want to think through how many times can one person win? You
that's
know.
another good question. So.
I mean, we have a lot of good photographers, so, yeah,
Yeah,
that will be
So,
important to. think about
another
as well.
discussion for the panel.
Yes,
Yes?
Will there be a digital version as well?
that's a great question. I think we shouldn't do that. I hadn't thought about it. We had originally planned it as a wall calendar, but yeah, that's,
Not sure how that would work, but
I mean, you can do like a flip book or something. Like I've done those, you know, you can get, I think it's a flip book account and.
Yeah.
But yeah,
One thing we use to make sure people keep what we're giving them, you don't use a calendar. You use something that people use every day, like measurements.
Mhm.
Things like that. You could have another sheet some way. You wouldn't have multiple pages, but one sheet with maybe some of the best pictures up on top. And then, you know, we measure cups of flour and stuff like that.
oh, right.
We do that all the time,
Oh, right,
And they-
yeah,
and they don't throw them out.
yeah. That's the kind of thing you hang on your fridge
Mm.
and, yeah.
Exactly.
so yeah, we wanted to get you inspired to get out and make photographs of Broomfield. But did we want to include parks as well?
So I think that we'll really try to keep it to the open space, wildlife,
Okay,
trails. I think if a parks, I mean, if you're at the Commons and, you know, it's a picture of, you know, expansive picture, that's absolutely okay. The one thing we thought that we would avoid people in the pictures. So not completely, like if people are unrecognizable, like their face or who they are, then that's okay.
Yeah.
Cause there's a lot of pictures of people, you know, riding their bike on a trail
yeah.
or
So
people
people-
hiking.
People are allowed as long as they're not recognizable.
Yeah,
So like if they're walking away from you or they're so far away, you can't make out who it is,
yeah,
you can include people.
Yeah.
But no recognizable faces allowed.
and yeah, really kind of the focus on nature, but we also want people to get out in nature, so seeing some people in nature, I think is also good.
Any other questions? Also, Caleb has volunteered to design a logo for the club, so we're still working on that.
Yeah. What's it? We're 5-star.
Yeah, so that'll be on the calendar as well.
Yes, which is so great.
All right, any other questions? All right, with that, I'll introduce Mike McGinnis
Great.
to present.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I used to be an active member of the club, but I got married and ran off to the mountains, so I'm not around much anymore, but I see an awful lot of new faces, so a lot of you probably don't know me from before. I'm gonna be able to pull that up.
Okay, you should be able to share your screen now.
Oh, okay, let's do it on here. So. Okay.
Not sure why you're not on there.
I mean, it wasn't before.
Got you set as a co-host.
Share screen.
Is Rebecca here? Oh, bummer.
Yeah, what did she do? Were you on Zoom? Yeah.
Gary, do you need to unshare your screen?
Yeah, we did that.
You've got to set as a co-host to be able to share. You should be able to just be able to go on.
Nope.
All right. Simple way to do it.
Any Zoom experts out here? Anybody know Zoom? Not the lead, this is like.
So,
Sharing is allowed.
see what happens now. I can't make you host, but then I can't get there. I'll change you to the host. Let's see what happens. Nope, that didn't do it.
Okay.
Oh, Can you, let's see, can you send me a request? Well, you gotta give me that as a host,
Tell you
because I
what,
need you host.
since we have yours up there. Here. Well, you said you don't have PowerPoint or you do?
Well, it'll run it.
Here. Let's just put it on yours.
I'm going to make host. We'll make this easier.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I don't know what else to do to change it.
Okay. Here we go. Speak to me. Where we at?
All right, should this be about the only thing on here? Oh.
They're saying that something in your file is corrupt.
Okay then.
Not be open.
All right, can we plug my computer directly in? Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, technical. Usually I can figure this stuff out.
I gotta know what file that's for you to file, just a second. I think you tried to start the wrong file.
Oh, really?
Yep, there you go. All right,
All right.
so now what I have to do is
Just click play.
come back to Zoom. Yep.
Play slideshow.
Now, what I'm going to do, I have to get rid of this thing up here. I think that's all of it. All right.
It's got all my other slides on there. Is there a way to just make that
Yeah.
play slideshow? I think. Right here, slideshow. Whoop.
Move.
This one.
Hey,
So right up here, slideshow.
get rid of it.
There you go. Start from first. Okay. I might have to have you forward it for me. Okay.
I can do that.
Just with the arrows.
So, all you do is.
All right, I think we got it. Sorry for the delay. All right, so anyway, I think like a lot of photographers, a lot of people like to get their work out there. So they've thought about trying to sell their work on the web, trying to maybe get their work in some galleries. And another option are summer art fairs. And I've done all of those with some different successes here and there. I've been in a few different galleries. But when I got married, my wife, who's a painter, has been doing art shows for about 10 years. So we started doing art shows together, so I can blame all this on her. But when you think about doing art shows, you think, okay, I get a tent, I go hang some art, and I go sell it. Well, there's like most things, there's a lot more to it than that. And these are some of the things that I'm going to talk about. How to find the shows, the promoters, working with the promoters, what do you need as far as supplies, inventory, how to price things. There's a lot to it. So I'm going to real briefly kind of run through all these things. The best way to find shows is a website called Zapplication. And there's another one called Cafe, which is short for call for entry. Those are the main two out in the art world, but Zapplication is kind of taken the lead, and it's a really good website to find shows. It's not the best website in the world. I fight with it quite often, but they give some good filters where you can filter by region or area, by town names, by different show names. You can look at calendars and see when these shows are, and it gives you a way to apply to these shows. Cafe is similar, but again, not quite as popular and not used as much these days. So I'd really recommend, if you're interested, is to hop on this application website. You can get on there, and the sign up is free. You can fill out a profile, give them all your information, and you upload sample images for them to look at for when you apply to shows. So again, you can filter these things, look at the calendars. All of them have cutoff dates. For summer shows, generally, you're looking to apply between November and January. So for this coming summer, it's a little late. There are occasionally some ones that you can hop into, or they'll have a cancellation you can get in. So it's worth trying or contacting the promoters. But generally, the promoters will charge a $45 fee just to jury for them to look at your images and then select something from the images that you provide. And they usually want 3 or 4 images and an image of your tent setup. And if you're new, you can just tell them that you're new and you don't have a picture of your tent, but it's handy to have a picture of your tent. Promoters. There's a lot of promoters out there. We work with quite a few. My wife and I do shows both here In Colorado in the summer, we do about anywhere from 12 to 14 shows. And we've been going down to Arizona and doing a few shows the last few winters also. So we work with quite a few different promoters in different areas. Promoters are not created equal. Some are very professional, really know what they're doing. They're important to your success because they're the ones that advertise the shows, put up signage to draw people into the shows. And, you know, some do really well at that and other ones don't. So you'll learn over time which promoters do a good job and some other ones that maybe don't. We work primarily with Colorado Art Weekend, really great people. They've gotten to be good friends of ours. Some of the other ones that we do are Art on the Rockies. Evergreen Fine Art Festival is something they do their own show each year. Denver Fine Arts, Dash Events, and Howard Allen shows Howard Allen is a big nationwide promoter. They do shows all over the country, primarily in Florida, but they also do some, I think, in Arizona and quite a few here in Colorado. Other places, Marilyn? You know? Yeah. Anyway, Howard Allen is a really big promoter and do work all over the place. So anyway, those are the ones that we work with. So as far as supplies, you know, what you need to get started, most shows require a white 10 by 10 tent. If you're going to do a double booth, you can get 10 by 20 tents or just do 2 10 by 10s. You need some type of walls for your tent. There's cloth walls that you can use. There are also things called pro panels, which I'll show a picture of in a minute, which are hard, sturdy, carpet covered walls. They're pretty expensive and take up a lot of space. Marilyn loves the pro panel walls, and I use the cloth walls for my tent. You need hanging cables to hang your art. Generally, they want a sign so they know who you are and where you're from. You need to be able to price your art. An art bin if you're going to sell bin prints or smaller pieces. You know, you can read it all. I usually have an easel where I put a couple extra pieces on so I can get a few more pieces to show beyond my tent. These weekends are long, so you need some type of chair to sit on. And I'll talk a little bit more about the square payment system in a minute. This is just a shot of my tent at, where is that? I think that's Evergreen. This was up in Dillon, the Dillon show. This is my wife Marilyn at an indoor show that we did. So it gives you an idea where I have the 10 by 20 tent there, and I have an easel out front, so I show all my work there. But it gives you an idea of what we're talking about. Summer art fair, I think everybody's probably been to one over the years. All right, so what's it all cost to do this? There's a lot of upfront cost. You know, but sometimes you can find things online that are for sale used. There are some sites where people will sell things if they're getting out of the business or trying to sell other things. So you can find some things used here and there. But basically a 10 by 10 tent with outside, there's 2 different kinds of walls. There's the walls that come with the tent, kind of a nylon rain cover. And then you have interior walls where your art is hanging against those walls. So it's 2 different things. So the 10 by 10 tents come with the outside waterproof walls. The interior walls, if you're going to do the pro panels, this is what the pro panel looks like. And they can come either a solid 1 piece or 2 pieces where you can take them apart. Go ahead. Yep. This is what it looks like, the carpeted walls, and then there's hooks that are made to hang, and these are great hooks. They're metal cables, and these hooks will slide on there, so they're very adjustable and nice to use. But that gives you an idea of what some of the costs are for all these things. So if you're going to buy everything new, you're looking at about $4,500 to get started your first year out. The shows themselves have a cost beyond the $45 jury fee that you pay up front. If you're going to rent a space for a 10 by 10 tent, it's about $600. If you're going to get one with a corner, so you have an open side and more space, a little bit more, 10 by 20 with corner. So I just kind of totaled things up. So if you're going to buy your equipment and supplies brand new, You're gonna do 10 shows your first year, throw some money in for travel and gas and such. Your art inventory, just a round number that I pulled out, you're looking somewhere around $20,000 just to get started to do 10 shows for your first year. So of course, after, you know, subsequent years, it's gonna be a lot less because you already have all your material and equipment, but you're still gonna have your inventory, travel and show costs, that sort of thing. So how much inventory do we need? Again, it depends on the size tent you're gonna use. If you have outside walls available to go on the outside, which you don't always have that ability. But I usually take about 30 different pieces for a 10 by 10 with a corner. And for a 10 by 20 with a corner, which I started doing more of, I'll take about 45 pieces. And I'm going anywhere from 24 by 16 by 24 to 24 by 36. I'll have some that they're bigger than that. So it's that gives you an idea of how much inventory you need.
So that's just 30 different pieces,
30 different pieces.
where you have multiples of that?
On some of the more popular images, I may take 2 or 3 extras because there's some that will sell and I want to replace them and get another one out there for the public to see. But that I usually would maybe hang 25 pieces, but have 30 with me, just a few extras. So the next question is, okay, what's going to sell and what to expect when you do these shows? And I wish I had a great answer for this because some shows are absolutely great where you're talking to a lot of people and selling some art, and some shows you don't sell a thing, and it's really, really frustrating. And it's hard to know what shows are going to be good and which ones aren't. The crowd demographics has a lot to do with it. If you're doing a show in Denver in the Highlands, it's very, very different than doing a show in Vail. You have a whole different crowd demographic, ones that are going to spend money and other ones that are going to only maybe spend smaller amounts on smaller pieces. So you kind of try and, you know, have available, you know, judge what the crowd is going to be and have smaller pieces for some crowds, larger, more expensive pieces for other places. The other question these days, of course, is the economy and consumer confidence. We have no idea what this summer is going to look like. After the pandemic, things were great. People were really buying and spending a lot of money. It's dropped off since then, but this summer we really have no idea. And of course, with the summer fair outside, the weather can really be detrimental. We've had shows where Saturday will be great, and Sunday it's a downpour the whole day, and you don't sell a thing or hardly see a person. So the weather has a lot to do with it as well. So what sells and what doesn't? Colorado landscapes do very well. The problem with Colorado landscapes is you have a lot of competition. There's a lot of other photographers. Everybody, especially when they first start, does landscapes, it seems. So you have a lot of Colorado landscapes. I do a few, but not a lot. These are some that I have sold at shows, but I don't know. There's just too much competition in my view to do Colorado landscapes. There's a lot of them out there. Travel, I've sold the Flower Girls a few times. Other travel photographs, unless people have been there, they don't want to buy travel. It's unfortunate because there's some fun images and people love to look at them, but nobody buys them. Wildlife does pretty well, especially if you can do Colorado wildlife. Again, there's some competition out there. I've got a good friend who's a great wildlife photographer who does very well for himself. I usually have a few. I love the wild horses, and the bison has sold very well, but wildlife does well. But again, I don't do a lot of that. Abstracts don't sell at all. Again, people like to look at them, but in my view, nobody buys them. I've played around with a little bit with digital art, and I've actually sold the Starlight Motel a couple times. Other ones have not sold at all. But that said, we have a friend who does only digitally manipulated art, and he does pretty well for himself. So that's kind of up in the air. I don't understand that market, I guess, so much. Street photography, I've sold both of these images, but again, kind of like the abstracts, people like to look at them, but they're generally not going to buy them unless they have a specific thing. Like the guitar player, I've actually sold it to a couple of people that are guitar players that actually play on street corners or whatever, and they like that image. So it has to grab the right person. My specialty the last few years has been Americana. I think with baby boomer age group, there's a real sentimentality over old motels, old vehicles, old trucks, whatever it is. This has kind of been my specialty the last few years, and I've done pretty well with those. So I've sold all these images and quite a few more of the, especially the old neon does very well. Everybody asks, okay, how do you figure out your pricing? Best thing to do is walk around the show and look at some of the other people out there and figure out what their cost per square inch is. Generally, I'm in the $1.25 to $1.75 per square inch on an aluminum photograph. But you also have to take into consideration what your profit margin is. If you're buying these from Duraplaque or some other printer, you've got some pretty good considerable costs going into your inventory, which doesn't leave a lot of profit for you at the end. So you have to kind of, figure out what you need to make. And I would not advise trying to change your prices dramatically, trying to follow the crowd demographics. Surprisingly, a lot of people we see go to many, many shows in the summer. It's their entertainment. So if you have one price on a piece in Frisco and 2 weeks later you've got the same piece and you jacked it up in Vail, there's people that call you on it. Unfortunately, found that out the hard way. I would say most artists at the shows use Square. They have a really good phone app. It's to the point where you can just tap their card on your phone and take their payment. So if you're going to do this, I would definitely recommend looking at Square. There are some competitors that work similar, but I think Square is kind of a leader in the industry, and they work very well. Go back 1 second. One thing I was going to mention is taking payment and paying your taxes. Is that something else you don't think about? You have to have a retail sales license from the state of Colorado and pay taxes to the state for all your sales. But many of the towns actually take a percentage as well. And one example is the town of Avon. When we do a show there, you actually have to get on their website, fill out their form, pay your tax before they will let you leave. They're at the gate after your loadout, and you have to pay the tax before they'll let you leave. So paying the taxes is kind of a big deal, both to the state of Colorado and to some of the towns. Not all the towns do this, but a few of them are very strict about it. And the state of Colorado, my wife will attest, they're really tough. And their website is horrible. So trying to pay your taxes to the state of Colorado on the Department of Revenue site is a real pain, but that's an aside. Don't forget packing materials for when you do sell things. I use foam wrap, bubble wrap, all these different things. Corner protectors are really important. Your images if they're going to get dinged, more times than not, it's the corners. And it's almost impossible to do all these shows, to do 12 shows, tear down, set up the next show, haul it around, load it in your vehicle without damaging your images. You will have damage loss. And you have to take your time to wrap everything really well and pack it really well and be careful. But after you've been at a show for 3 days and it's been hot and you're tired, you want to just throw everything in your vehicle and go. not a good idea because you can really kill some images that, so you're gonna have a lot of loss right away. So again, I kind of learned that the hard way, is you need to slow down and try and prevent damage, but you are gonna have some, so there will be loss there. Last few questions. Does all this stuff fit in my vehicle? When you have tents, a lot of inventory, those big carpeted walls, weights for your tents, which are really important. All of a sudden you realize, boy, I've got a lot of stuff. Is this thing gonna fit in my vehicle? I had a four-door Jeep Cherokee, or not Cherokee, a Wrangler. And I got everything, all my art inside stacked up. And I put a rack on the back for my tent and weights, and I made everything fit. Now I have a Bronco, and I think it's gonna be about the same. A truck will work, obviously, but you have to worry about protecting everything from the weather. And especially if you're doing shows in the mountains or down here, you get afternoon rain, so you need to be able to protect your art. A lot of people that do this full time have big vans, and you'll see a lot of these vans at the shows. Some people try and use trailers. In my experience, we've tried trailers, and they're a real pain to get into the shows. They're very tight, trying to maneuver through the shows when you're setting up and tearing down. So unless you have a trailer that you've already paid for, I wouldn't recommend a trailer. A few questions to ponder. You know, everybody thinks, okay, is my work good enough? You know, that's something that you really have to consider. Is somebody gonna want to buy this? Something else, are you a salesperson? Do you like talking to people, talking about your photographs, telling the stories behind the photographs? Do I want to work weekends? All these shows are weekend shows. Usually 2 days, some are 3. We've actually done some in Arizona that are 5-day shows. So if you're going to be out there on your feet talking to, you know, hundreds or maybe thousands of people over several days, you need to be able to do that. Again, how do I handle rejection? People will come in and actually criticize your work and say, you know, I mean, they'll make comments about your work, and it's like, no, I'm not going to buy that. That's you know, whatever it is. And as a retiree, I always ask myself this question: do I really want to continue to work this hard? It's a lot of work. Hauling stuff in, setting up tents, hanging art, being out there on your feet all weekend, taking it all down, hauling it all home. Think about it. It's a lot of work, but it can be fun. But there's good, bad, and ugly. You might do really well. You know, make a lot of money, which is great. A lot of people do. You meet a lot of nice people who don't criticize your work, but appreciate it and like it. They may not buy it, but they like it. And that's nice to know. We've made a lot of new friends. We have a lot of artist friends that we see every week. And we've got a great friend group, and we do things outside of the art world with them. And we've made a lot of new friends, and it's great. The bad side, you might go to a show and you might not sell a thing. And it happens. As a photographer, every person with a cell phone now is a photographer, and they want to show you their work. So that gets old in a hurry. And depending on the show, a lot of people are there just for entertainment. And if you don't want to see people walking around pushing their dog strollers, eating popcorn and cotton candy, that's something to think about. And unfortunately, it's kind of a reality that occasionally disaster strikes. You've probably all seen pictures of shows where they'll have a windstorm, a microburst, a tornado, and everything goes. And it happens. So you have to be really careful. You have to make sure you have a lot of weight on your tent. And, you know, we all have horror stories of people losing everything. My wife had some young couple that were potters, that it was their first show, didn't have enough weight. The wind came up and they broke every pot they had. They lost everything. So it happens.
Is there insurance available for that?
You can get business insurance, relatively inexpensive business insurance, yes. Yeah. All right, so that's it. Any questions from anybody?
Yes.
Do you ever have somebody grab a business card from you and actually buy something after the show?
Occasionally. And I actually stopped giving out business cards. I got a QR code for my website and my contacts that I have on my phone, so they can just scan it. And it actually dumps all my contact information into their phone, and that works really well. But actually, we did a show in Scottsdale in February, and I had a lady call me up or send me an email 2 weeks later and said, I really love this image, I want to buy it. And I told her, you know, I'm already back in Colorado, but we're going to come back down in a few weeks. If you can wait, she goes, okay, I'll take it. And so that was a $2,500 image that she did buy after the fact.
When's your next show?
Does any specific print surface sell better than others? Meaning like.
You know, in my experience, I do almost all aluminums. I mean, I have done, you know, plaque mounts from Duraplaque. I've done canvases. People really seem to like aluminum. And I like the aluminum, and I do a frame on the back, outside edge frame on the back. And they're a lot more durable too. The corners don't get bent, the edges don't get bent. So they're more durable for taking them up and setting them down. So the aluminums seem to really catch people's eye.
Yeah. And when's your next show?
Next show is what, Evergreen?
No, it's Park.
Oh, Park Hill, that's right. Park Hill in Denver on Memorial Day weekend.
The weekend.
Oh, okay. So it's the weekend after, I'm sorry.
Yes, the first weekend.
Yeah, the end of May anyway, in Park Hill in Denver.
So what do you pay to the promoter?
The promoter, that was the tent rental fee.
What's the rental fee?
So it's like $600 on average for a 10x10 tent.
Okay,
That's-
they don't take a cut of your sales?
A few do,
No.
most don't, but there are a few that will take commission on your sale, so they'll take 30%.
Whoa.
Yeah, but that's pretty rare. There's only a couple that I know of that do that. Actually, they're all in Arizona.
Does the square automatically calculate all your taxes and aggregate them, so when you're at the gate, Avon, you?
It does, and you actually have to go into the square and tell them what the tax rate is for that town, because every town is different. So you go into the square and tell it, so that when you ring up a sale, it adds that
It
tax.
has, the customers are paying the tax.
Right, right. Yeah, Tim.
How many horse with no head pictures have you sold?
The image you're talking about, three,
Three.
and they're all 36 by 48s, so big.
Horse with no head.
Yeah. It's a picture of a Western saddle. He's just being a smartass.
He sent it to me and Jerry Case, and both me and Jerry individually sent him, it's like, well, where's the head?
I think he said, you'd get more money if you had the whole horse. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mike. All right, we'll take a short 5-minute break and then we'll start using our photos. Well, sorry for the technical issues.
We had it all every time.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, that's why I had it on my laptop. I also had it on here. So like, if worst comes to worst, we stick it on his computer that's already hooked up. So I try and cover the bases.
The images that we'll be looking at next. Fair, because if something goes wrong, something else, has a computer, and they can do it.
And you know what? I've actually got a projector in this. If I would bring that just in case. It's in that mill. The bulb burns out, it's true, right?
Well, they just, here, I think they moved.
Yeah, but still.
Always a plan B.
Real quick.
Well, thank you, I'm sorry about.
Oh, no, we got it. Long time ago, I just don't, let's, you know. Slide projector with comparison. and it was all set up, ready to go. It's Sunday, we want him to go first. So whenever the carousel is about the Martin Lane, the slide spray falls on every sign. Outside the look back for it. Well, I was no, I All those? That was at Heart Lake Sunday. That's just a little. Well, white. No, that's, what do you mean? That's, I think that was. That's just
Are we ready, Gary? So we're gonna do a sign focus. We have all the people, you know?
Right now, 6.
Okay. We're gonna look at our sign photos first. I don't know about you all, but this was a difficult sign.
It was.
Yeah.
I had a tough time with it.
Still, you're up first.
So, I actually made a couple of notes for this. With the still life, I thought about the old French masters. Bowl with fruit, vase with flowers. But that was my starting point, but I wanted to capture the mood that I personally feel. What's happening in this country and around the world?
That's spoiled and ravished.
It's very depressed.
Uh-huh.
And this is my homage to the old masters with a bit of storytelling. I deliberately let the flowers wilt, lose some of their color, die a little bit. The petals falling off, using relatively harsh lighting, because I wanted to create a scene that's somewhere between the Last Supper of an individual who ran or fled or died or just abandoned this place and space. Created a highly saturated color layer and black and white blended them together just so I could get the mood. It fades from, color to black and white. And this is a little bit of the way I feel as a person that's aging and becoming irrelevant in society. And how other people might feel if they're homeless or whatever, you're a Ukrainian or whatever. Good job.
Great job.
Yeah, Chinese.
They didn't make the Enterprise this week.
No, I'm sorry, I do everything I can to get our pictures in the paper. And for whatever reason, it's not there this week. And I sent an email to Christie at the Enterprise and asked her, but I have not heard a response back. I suspect that she's away and her backups didn't back up the way they should have.
Maybe next game.
Cal Cheney on one.
Yeah, really well said.
Don't hear anybody. It's an interesting painterly effect. I like it.
Photoshop filter.
Hmm.
Nice, colorful.
Yes. Good balance. This is Caleb.
Yeah, so I had this idea of photographing the guitar with some of the wood chips from wood that it was made from. And so I really should have included a photo next to it of the lighting setup with this, because it was kind of the whatever I could find in the garage lighting setup. And so what I ended up doing is there's just one light. I tried a 2-light setup to kind of separate the right edge of the guitar, but it wasn't working. And so I ended up cutting the main light with some scrap wood just leaned up against it. So it kind of dispersed it and cut it down a little bit. Yeah.
So that's actually the wood. Did you make it? Oh, that's cool.
Wow. So, long story short, this is something that I was like, I want to do this at some point. And in college, there was a guitar luthier club there, and there's fellows that have built like 40 guitars since the 70s. So he stepped myself and several friends through the process of building these guitars. So I had this shot in mind as I finished up the guitar, and saved all the wood chips for a good like 5 years. Didn't do the This was my reason to do it. So.
Good job.
This one is mine. As Phil said, I had a difficult time with this. I bet you I took 50 pictures of this, trying to get the right combination of lighting and, I had started having too much clutter, and this is what I ended up with. It's just where I tie flies, and it's something different. Nobody else came up with it.
Great, I love it.
These are the feathers for the flies.
So it look like pheasant feathers, or what is that?
The feathers on the jet, on the
On the
table.
desk, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're chicken feathers.
Oh, really?
And then there's people that, raise chickens just to be able to harvest those feathers.
Oh,
That comes from the breast of the chicken,
wow.
the rooster.
Oh.
Rooster feathers.
Booster feathers.
Yes. Wow.
Fascinating.
So the question is, does it catch fish? We'll get to that later. And this is shark.
So brings to life a lot for product photos. So this is one of my nicer ones, I guess you could say. You get creative with the way that you put yarn, but sometimes it gets boring after a while.
It has a lot of color in it. I really like this photo a lot.
Great background. Yeah. Colorful background.
And I'm stuck with the store light in there, and she has half like white fluorescent bulbs in this old like porcelain things and half like super yellow bulbs, so half of my photos turn out super yellow and half of them turn out like overexposed white, so it's just so frustrating, but after a year of working with her, I think I finally got it down pat.
It looks great.
Yeah, good job.
This is Dwight. Is Dwight online?
Dwight's online.
Yeah, I am. I struggled with
Dwight,
this.
Can we hear
Can,
them?
can you hear me?
Try it again, Dwight.
Hello, can you hear me?
All right, why is Dwight not coming
Says
on?
unmuted. Hello,
Oh, he's there. Nope,
try again. Wait, I'm
I
here.
don't know why I can't hear you, Dwight. I saw
Oh,
you online.
okay. Well, I did this for Mike McGinnis and I
I thought
struggled
I
with the
did.
category.
Let's see.
Still can't hear me?
You know, Dwight, we can't hear
Here you
you.
go.
We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can see you, but we can't hear you.
I can hear you
Okay,
online.
well, let's see, you're on there.
Online people can
No,
hear
it's
me.
not muted.
Yeah.
Online folks can hear me.
Yeah, they are. We were getting feedback earlier. Well, I don't know why. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna go back to your picture, Dwight. Let's see.
Now you-
Oh, wrong one. Come on, Lori. Fat fingers. Sometimes this pad just doesn't react to my finger properly. All right, here we go. All right, we'll just have to assume we know what you're talking about.
You can hear us. We can't hear him.
Yeah. Come on, get away. I miss using a mouse
Can
sometimes.
you pull up the chat? Because I think he's typing.
Yeah, I think I can pull up the chat. Wrong one. No, it's not gonna come up with the chat.
Sorry, Dwight.
We'll figure it out next month. When I've got Rebecca here. Okay. Well, our best guess is this was probably taken over at White Sands. Would that be right? Hey, winner. Okay.
It's a yucca seed pod, yeah.
Oh,
Yucca seed
yeah,
pod?
seed pod. That's what it is, a seed
Yeah.
pod.
Nice.
Nice. Thank you, Dwight.
This is Gary.
Lace curtain.
Yeah. Yeah, nice shadow.
That was taken with an 8 megapixel camera.
And this is James Clark.
Thanks, that was definitely out of my element here, but
I'm trying to get rid of this thing up here first.
it's a little too lazy to do any special lighting or anything like that, but my fiance and I do have a ton of old stuff laying around, so it's really fun just to take stuff out and play with viewing and stuff like that, and I learned from it, and so I definitely want to do it again. I think I played around with the saturation, try to get somewhere in between like black and white.
Nice.
Yeah, try to make it look good.
How many light sources did you use?
Just what was coming in the window. Yeah, like I said, I was just.
Nice.
Serious lighting.
There's no lazy, putting all that together and composing.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of lazy.
Okay,
Well, like Carl, I felt like I was struggling. Because in my brain, I wanted to do exactly what Bill did and what James just did. And I really wanted to make something interesting with different objects, and it just wasn't happening. So I took away everything. And I did see this concept somewhere else from a German photographer. So this is my interpretation of his photo. And it's not a commentary on the price. Minimalist and surreal,
Beautiful.
and it's really well done.
Yeah, you came out with a really cool result, I think.
This is my second attempt, this is my second shoot, with a different a different, base. I ate both eggs. This yolk actually went into a batch of cookies. They're gone. Yes, but anyway, I had such a good time being challenged with this, assignment this month. So thank you for just making me do something out of the ordinary.
Very creative.
Yeah.
And, I'm the graphic designer.
It's Jim Neville.
That's me, so I'll show you, that was a mine, I mimicked another photographer, which he shows up in the next round, I'll show it to you, this was my inspiration, so. This is when I had, 3 trips to Lafayette, rummaging through Lafayette antique stores, trying to find that pot. And I bought the fabric behind it from a fabric store, and I had 3 trips to, King Soopers, taking pictures of all kinds of different vegetables to try and get this picture. And then probably 85 pictures later and bracketing and so I shot it on 3 different times in the day trying to find the perfect lighting. There's probably 4 light sources. They're all just from my house, flashlights or things. And the little blue on the bottom is actually a reflection of a light coming out of a house outside a window coming through onto the picture there.
So you put all that work into it and you got a nice result. I really like it.
Well, thanks. It's if I could be one critique of it, I would say that it's seems sculpture to me and not, I was trying to be free flowing, but it is close. I was pleased with it. So
The texture of the tails.
and the tail was fun. That took a whole.
Nice thing about kale, it doesn't wilt, right?
Yeah, the good news is I don't eat kale, so I went through about $25 worth of kale. Yeah.
Okay. Talk about original. Yeah, you're up.
Yeah, that's a cute.
I put like no effort into it. Listening to all of you guys, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. The commitment that you put into your photos. This was just looking around one day and I saw the light coming through, snap the picture with my cell phone and there it is.
Hey, but it's still very good. I really like your picture.
My first reading glasses, but.
Let me all get there.
Yeah.
John. This is John, and John is not here tonight. We've seen this picture before. John submitted it about 3 or 4 times before, but that's okay. Hey.
That's a metal sculpture that's by the Full Throttle Saloon in Sturgis. And I kind of wanted it to look like it was flying through the air, so I erased the pole. And tried to get some intensity on the metal. Try to make it look like it was flying through the air.
You did a good job. It does.
It certainly does. Yeah.
Cool.
How big is that real sculpture?
What?
How big is that real?
Well, it's about probably 12, 14 feet.
Oh,
And it's up on top of a high pole. Well,
Wow.
It's great.
Yeah.
Cool. This is Kelly.
I wanted to get nice evening light. Don't have a ton of like light sources. That is like hard to find light. But obviously I waited a few extra days than I should have. Only one on the right that was still kind of alive, but I still, my daffodils, you can see the falling on the table.
touching. I just wish they'd been a little more alive, but like just another commentary on life right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark Bunch, I don't think Mark's here tonight. Is he online? I have no idea.
Can you hear me? Hello?
I can
I'll
hear you.
have to leave this screen to go look.
Oh,
It is.
yeah.
Mark Castleman, I don't think Mark's here tonight either. That's a nice one.
That's great.
And Mike Irwin?
By the way, he was, when this assignment came, he was down in Louisiana visiting his mom, was in a nursing home. And this was like a collection of memories, from his mom, and some of his mom's artifacts.
Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, he did a nice job. And this is Mike McGinnis.
Several years ago, I went to Pennsylvania and took a light painting, still life light painting course from a gentleman named Harold Ross. And after that, I came back and had several different antiques that I wanted to shoot. So the whole key to this is it's multiple images. It's shot in a completely dark room, and each highlight shadow is controlled with a very small flashlight with a diffuser on it. So you go in and you'll do a highlight in one place, and that's an image. You go and you have to take multiple images and then layer them all together in Photoshop. So it's very tedious. And this is the best example of that. Hopefully there's another image or two that'll show you how you really control the light and the shadows in an image. Oh.
Interesting. This is Phil.
So, yeah, I struggled with this assignment as well. So I looked around the house and found this is my mom's old Brownie Hawkeye. So I took a close up of it and I turned it to black and white. Since it mainly shot black and white, it was fitting.
Yeah. You still have this and use it?
No, I don't use it. I still have it.
Just probably have trouble getting film.
Can't get, it's a unique size film that you
Oh.
can't get.
Okay.
620.
This is Phyllis.
She might be online, but.
Yeah,
I'm
she
I'm
might have no
online.
idea why I'm not getting,
Can you hear me?
probably something I screwed up. Yeah, Phyllis has been in the hospital and been other ill. But from what I understand, she's getting better, so. Okay.
Title says hospital still life.
Yes, there it is.
Okay.
Looking at the air conditioning, it's sticking out of hospital window.
Yeah.
And this one, talk about color. Rachel, you got them.
That's me as something more whimsical as maybe an antidote to how many of us are feeling. This is actually at the stock show. I don't know if you've been there, and if you go upstairs to where the children's part is, there's this guy who's there every year who has all these Lego figures. And so I loved, the pink power of that. And it's taken with my phone because it's pretty hard to use a real camera at the stock show. And so I thought it'd be a nice relief for some of the more gloomy photos or the gloomy way we're feeling.
And this is Rebecca. Is Wendy going to speak on her behalf?
I think she took this in her parents' backyard in Texas, because that's where she was when she took it, so. I have no idea what it is.
Horseshoes.
Horseshoes. Pitching horseshoes. Yeah.
I think she. Oh, I see, okay, yeah.
And Sherry Woodruff, and Sherry's not here either, so. Well, I have to files that it's on, in. There's Tim.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't struggle with this at all. And I have no interest in still life, so heart was not in it.
So your whole mission was, you stuck it in there, took a couple pictures and then drank the beer, right?
I sprinkled a little snow on top of it.
Oh, yeah. You have to have that little touch.
You could sell that to Corona.
Nice one. I actually like it.
So,
Yeah.
how many did you have to test before you found the right?
And this is Wendy.
This, bunny rabbit doll at the thrift store, and I don't know if it's an antique or if it's a knockoff or what, but I just really love it. It's so elegant, and then, yeah, those are fake flowers behind, but then behind that is, on the wall is, this beautiful linen thing that Beck picked up from the estate sale, it's all hand, embroidered, so I take that on the wall there. It took me 30 minutes, that's what this all about.
Well, it turned out great.
Yeah, I kept doing different positions with different touches, but,
So how did you select the colors for the flowers? Did you put effort into that or was it just you lucked out?
it's part of like spring decoration.
Aha. Turned out great.
My neighbor was throwing away his Easter eggs. I
Oh.
put that up on the curb, so yeah, this is.
All right, so this is three pews in the St. Catherine of Siena Chapel over by Estes Park. Like many others, I also really struggled with this still life assignment. So partly because I don't typically do still life, and I think I also lack the, I don't know, creativity, I suppose, to use backdrops or set pieces or lighting. So what you're currently looking at is the inside of the windows of the chapel, which also serve as the lighting setup. And I really wanted to use a still life photo that it felt like a person could step into the still life. So here we have the space in the windows. And I shot this using Kodak Gold. So yes.
What's this place in this for?
This is the St. Catherine of Siena Chapel. It's like,
Mallow.
yeah, same.
Oh, St. Mal Chapel?
Yeah, well, yeah, probably St. Catherine's, but St. Mal's is
The county.
The church.
It's about a 10-minute drive south of Estes Park.
Yeah, I don't know where that is. I've never been inside.
It's gorgeous on the inside, and when you are able to see it in the daytime, or I guess this is daytime, when the lights are turned on, it's all like natural stone on the inside. So I highly recommend visiting if you get a chance.
Oh, yeah.
Great job. This is Mark Adler.
I struggle with it so badly. Like, you know, I'm trying to learn so many other things. I watched some videos of still life and then I don't think so. Not this time. And I appreciate everyone's effort in that. This happened to be in the paper. You know, what can I say?
Ah, I love it. That's great.
my counterpoint, Mark.
Okay. There we go. That took care of that one. Now we'll go to the, oh, now I gotta go to the other one here. Let's see. Oh, I know what I have to do. I gotta go back here. And I think. I should probably go back. There it is. Okay, open category. This is Bob Adelson.
This is, you know, I don't know, these, Isla Miranda down the Keys of Florida.
Oh,
And, going by and this guy is, he's all dressed up in his finest Iguana attire. And I said, why are you all dressed up? He said, well, we got a big day tonight. And so I had a camera, he said, well, take my picture. So I did, and I sent him a couple of copies.
so,
That's the story.
good one.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. There it is. This is Cal Cheney again. I like that one.
Yeah.
And Taylor,
There's another one, same lighting setup and just playing around with different angles.
Nice.
nice wood.
It's Sapelli mahogany, so
Mhm.
just a really deep copper tone. This one makes it look a little bit more red than it is, but yeah, it has very just kind of rust copper tone.
So did the sound come out the way you like them, the guitars sound good?
This is a fly that belonged to my father. He bought it in upstate New York from a Master Tire back in the 1930s. So it's very, very old. The thing that I think is interesting about this, the name of the fly is a fan wing royal coachman. And like a lot of flies back then, they were designed more to catch fishermen than fish. And they still do the same things today.
Did your dad ever fish with it?
Pardon?
Did he ever fish with it?
No, he's never fished with it. But he was always proud of it. And, my dad was a master tiger fighter too.
Beautiful.
And sharp.
These boots float around her store pretty frequently, and so this just happened to be a really cute place and nice little yarn background and, yeah.
That red sure stands out.
It does, yeah.
And this is Dwight again.
We'll fill it in for you, Dwight. So you had nothing better to do one afternoon, and you go wandering around in the desert. There you go. I like
Pretty
that.
close.
Yeah, the clouds.
Did great work in the sky.
Yes.
Sky is amazing.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
beautiful. Looks like there's some berg on the lower, the clouds on the right-hand side.
This is Gary again. He got hungry after the first picture.
Well, there's more. These are shadows of the lace, that's all.
James Clark.
Yeah, this was up at McKay Lake just a week or two ago, and, got lucky that the mail was perching there, and I wasn't actually sure what she was until the mail blew up, and then I'm like, that's a wood duck, so I've been back 3 or 4 times, some of them haven't seen them, but got lucky that one. Oh, like 144. West, west of highway.
Do you use post-processing at all, James?
I mean, like, I'll adjust the brightness, like, like a little bit of contrast, a little bit of saturation, but I still haven't learned lightroom or anything, so just the basics.
Well, I mean, wood duck is such a beautiful bird.
Yeah.
Is that I think if you would lighten the shadows a little bit and bring some of that color up, that would improve the picture.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. Just learn.
And this is Jim Darling again.
Yeah. More traditional still life, and again, after I had been struggling with different objects, even going to Goodwill to find things. I came back home and I found that branch, a broken branch on a tree outside my house. And it's cool. Yeah, just kind of tried to balance bounce it within that vase. It's a pretty deep, glass vase. But, and I do have a artificial light source on the left-hand side. Softbox with a grid on it, kind of keep it directional onto the blossoms, but,
What's the background?
the background is a hand-painted, backdrop that, my friend gave me once, and, we bartered for something. I asked for whiskey, and he said, I'm gonna do this instead. And that background has been really, worth a lot more than a bottle of whiskey. Yes, beautiful. I photographed my cat against that background wall.
Nice.
Good job.
This is, Mark Jones.
This is the inspiration that inspired my earlier picture. This is I'm mimicking, this kale of my neighbors. I went over next door and shot the picture of it, or she gave me that picture. And I was so inspired by the use of light in it, in the composition. And see how it just looks like the person just went to the garden, pulled up a bunch of kale and threw it in the pot. It looks so natural and easygoing, and I think it's the composition of light. And I was inspired by that picture, so I just shared it with you all. Is that one?
Yeah.
That's a picture of the neighbors that's in their house.
I shot this last month when I was in Seattle, just walking around downtown, taking pictures with my camera. And this particular angle was, I thought, really cool from the museum that's right next to the Space Needle, so. But you might like it.
Is that the Chihuly exhibit?
No, that's on the other side, yeah, this is the Museum of Pop Music or something.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah. Interesting picture. And this is John Yurchek again.
Like a piece of Chihuly.
Hey,
That was up at Trout Lake up by Cameron Pass. I think he was flirting with another eagle.
Nice shot.
and Mark,
Yeah, I took it about a year ago in Antwerp, Belgium. And I had that on my wallpaper on my phone. I kept looking at it and said, well, that's not so bad. And so then I started looking for it and realized it was one of those dreary, rainy days, and I left my camera on the boat and used this off my iPhone.
Looks good.
Like that.
Larry, do you have a comment on that one? And this is Mark Lynch again. I love this one.
Head scratcher, yeah. Is he here?
No, he's not here.
That's a classic. I love it.
And Mark Castleman. This is the Risby Church, very old church that was attended by the early settlers in Boulder County. It's not actively used anymore, but they have Christmas services there. I went for Christmas service at this church a number of years ago. Very old traditional church.
Whereabouts?
Where's it? It's on 63rd Street in Boulder County. Mike McGinnis.
That's maybe a little better example of light painting. This was an old hand cranked silent movie projector that Jerry Case had. I believe it was his father's. But I went in, again, shot this in a completely dark room and controlled the light. Like, for example, the little wooden handle up on the left, that would be one shot, just the light and the shadow on that one piece. And then you do that for the whole thing, work your way through, and then layer them back together in Photoshop. The thing that I liked about this the most is it also had old glass slides that you could show. So I pulled that out and he had some slides that his father had taken of Indians on the reservation, I think in North Dakota. And so it's kind of hard to see, but there's a picture of an Indian girl, there you go. That I lit from the back so you can see it from the front. Wow.
You focus with the lights on first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and don't move or touch anything, especially the tripod.
What's your exposure time?
It's been years since I've done this. I honestly can't tell you straight out. But the thing that made this work is I shot with my camera tethered to a iMac. And each shot I could then see it popped up on the screen, so I could see what I got. And if it didn't work right, or I didn't have enough light or too much light, I could go back and redo that individual image. So shooting tethered worked really well.
You have to change the focus, as you, on the parts.
No, I
You have to
try not to touch anything, touch the camera.
You have to depth.
Right. I probably shot it f8, f10, maybe, yeah.
And this is Phil.
This is something antique around the house. Thought I'd photograph it. Edison wax cylinder. That's how I used to buy music. Oh, not me. This was my parents.
And this is Phyllis Brown again.
I like that one. I mean, when you're in the hospital, you gotta do something.
Yeah.
I like it. Looks nice.
Yes. A lot of color in it. Rachel.
Yep, that's me, so. Another still life, this is hiking last year, and just love, the sun was right to highlight all these aspen leaf colors, and I don't know what makes them red, because it doesn't seem like the same trees are red every year. I don't know if anybody knows how that works, but,
It's genetic,
so the same trees are red.
yes. And so if you go to some place that has a big field, you'll see a little patch of red, and it's always that red.
So it's the same tree.
Same fruit trees.
So this is in Guanella House.
This is Rebecca again, who's not here.
That's our back porch with the dog toy.
That's a neat one.
And this is Sherry Woodruff, who's also not here.
That's an interesting composition.
Yes, I like that picture. I think she did a nice job on that. For still life, I thought, nice. Tim Seabird, he's been out birding.
Just something to keep the woodpeckers away.
Does it work?
And it does.
Does it?
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, after a snowfall, it's like, almost like a helmet that he's wearing.
Did he tell you where the bottle of
Wendy.
That's Chica's sweet paprika. Something as a bunny, that's the dog that goes with the dog toy. Or one of the dogs.
So I have a question. It looks like the dog has blue eyes.
She doesn't, I don't know why it came out that way.
Reflection of
I think it's a reflection off
From
from
the sky.
the
Could be
ears.
the sky or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh, nice.
And this is Doc again.
So this is another film photo. I've been having a lot of fun with film lately. My girlfriend's parents recently moved to Santa Fe, and there's a really cool open area or preserve about 15 minutes south of Santa Fe called the Galisteo Basin. I took this photo on a trail there during a particularly hazy and windy day. But I was really thrilled when I got this rollback. It sort of felt like looking back in time at some historical photograph. And I just love the desert in general too, because I'm from Iowa originally, so seeing the ground where things don't normally grow like crops is just really enjoyable. So good experience for me. Thank you.
And this is, Bob Adelson. I like this picture too. It looks like somebody's picking after their dog.
Came across this, vehicle in Woodland Park and puzzled me. I didn't know. And then I saw the search and rescue dogs. So then I understood what they were searching for and rescuing.
Oh, great shot.
I might add that I cheated on this, that I wasn't sure if you'd be able to see with this projection, the sticker. And the sticker was actually quite a bit smaller and covered with mud. That's why I didn't understand what it was at first. So I worked quite a bit on this picture to make it so that people could see what.
Well, it turned out, that turned out good. Now, you didn't put those bags there, did you? Cal is not here today. I like the shapes. Caleb,
Just outside Eldorado Canyon, you got it?
Fowler Pass,
Dollar Trail, yeah.
Fowler Trail, yeah. Yep. I know that tree.
Yeah.
Nice light.
Beautiful light.
I took this picture just as the sun was going up over the horizon. And so you get that special yellowish color and add it to the natural color of the robin. And now I know why they call it robin redbreast. Sure.
Such an eclectic individual that it just made me, think, does she just walk by and work on that sometimes? Or like, is there for, I don't know, the ambiance for the customers? I don't know. It's just sitting on a shelf in the middle of the yard. I feel like that's watched. Yeah, it does. Yeah, so yeah, it's a fun little game that I got. I like it.
Very colorful again.
Yeah.
And this is Dwight. I guess his head was in the moon on this one.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Shooting the moon is fun. I love it.
Good detail.
And this is Gary. In for a second helping.
You're eating a lot of Mexican.
Yeah. Well, you got the spoon, the knife, and the fork.
This is James Clark. James.
Yeah, this is the Bar Lake, not too long ago, but we were quite interested in each other.
Nice.
Yeah, that was quite a big amount. Change what your focal length on here. That's a 800 millimeter. Okay, I like your dust. Same. Yeah. This is why I don't try. They do all the work. That's great. Trying to mimic that original one I just mentioned that I liked a lot. And I used the same thing, but the woman who owned the photograph, I invited her over with Linda and I had her over for dinner and she had to come early and stay late and play with that picture a lot. She was a professional artist in Manhattan. And so we
So
would
you
try
had kale for dinner then?
Pardon me?
Did you have the kale for dinner?
Yeah, no, still don't like kale. Dessert. So we kept playing with it. We took a few pictures, we ran into the computer, put the computer play with it, and we did a bunch of pictures, and it's the same sort of thing. So it was a week or two later before the color one or after.
But nice.
It was kind of fun.
Good textures.
It's in, yeah. This is another originality.
That's amazing.
That was my snack on the hike in sand dunes. I thought it was pretty, so I took a picture of it.
That's a great shot.
Yes, it is.
I love this.
So it's quite pretty, like up the west and the shadows. It's nice, but
Marty, John, your check.
He was really into orange back then.
This is Mark Adler, and Mark made a trip to Mexico.
I did, and it wasn't a birding trip, but, I, I don't know how to explain this, but, I told my wife before we went, we were in the Puerto Vallarta area, and I told her before, I might want to try and connect up with a birding group. She says, okay, so that's permission, right? And then I did connect up with a birding group and I found a guide and he was quite a guide. And she says, are you gonna be gone all day? I said, well, no, I'll come back, you know, we're just sitting on the beach. But anyway, so I survived that. And we went out to this Rancho Primavera. And the lady there would have feed set up for the birds and this is one of them that I captured, a golden cheeked woodpecker. It was a lot of fun. Actually, I wanted to do birds because I got bored with all the brown in Colorado. Yeah.
Nice picture.
Great job.
And this is Mark Bunge again, who's not here. Mike McGinnis.
Another light painted still life. I discovered Jerry Case had a whole treasure trove of all these old projectors, and I just had a field day doing photographs and still lifes. And searched around and found a couple other things to go with it, the old time popcorn box, and made some popcorn and put in it, and just had a good time. And actually, one other point about this is I shot it against a green screen and dropped the brick wall in behind it from another shot.
The light on the background really seems to match the foreground, which is excellent.
How did you do that by adding background actor?
When you shoot it against the green screen, it makes it easy to select the foreground, the subject.
Right.
And then I just layered another shot in behind it.
That shot already got shadows.
Actually, no, I like painted that in too, just in Photoshop.
That's awesome.
Bill.
Just another object around the house. This is an incense holder. That sword comes out and you put a stick of incense in there. And so I shot this in a light box with a black background.
Rachel.
More classic still life. This is my twist lens when I'm from, you guys know Lens Baby, they make lenses with really interesting optics, and this one is called Twist, and so if your subject is far enough from the background, you'll get that twisting in the back. So it's a fun thing to, especially to take like to the Botanic Gardens, you can get some real unusual things.
Interesting. Rebecca, who's not here. Sherry Woodruff, who's not here.
That's different. Huh,
That's scary looking.
yeah. Like a water buffalo.
Tim.
So that is the, what is it? It's the Vanguard. Yeah. And, yeah, everybody was very still, and so I just thought it was kind of, you know.
This one did that too. Bill, are you there? Is that you?
That looks like me, but it's not me.
My little Fuji.
Oh, okay.
X. Yeah.
That may be it. So, no, we got a couple.
Nice.
Yeah, wood ducks, Metzger. Sunrise, Philip.
You get that nice yellow light from the sun coming out.
Yeah. They were made, I got multiple pictures of them, so, yeah.
Nice. Great, great color in the water.
Yes.
Large pond.
Yeah, yeah. James and I just went back a couple days ago, we haven't seen it on TV.
I never see that.
That's it.
All right.